Okay, how about the tool tip or technique for this video? My preferred way of storing tools is just hanging them on a wall right behind me. Granted, I have had a lot of tools when I was running my school because I basically had a set of tools for at least 6 students, and so I could teach a class of 12 and students could share a lot of them. A lot of tools, I had 12 different versions. But as far as tools to use, personally, I really didn't have that many. And if you looked in the background of any one of my videos, you can see pretty much everything I own. I have a few luxury items, but I have little toy stuff that I don't really use that much. I just hang them on the wall because they're easy to reach. Now, a lot of people prefer to putting tools in tool cabinets because it protects them from dust and banging, and they move it around. It's a little bit more secure. I've just never fallen into that. I have a tool tote that I built a long time ago, but I like it because it's open, so I can just see my tools. I reach down, I grab it, and I go. And these are my main demonstration tools that I just take this whole box and I go. And when I'm here, it has stuff like my dovetail saws and stuff. Just easy access to the tools I use quite a bit. On the wall, I have tools that I use infrequently, but fairly often. My most used tool, my 1/2-inch chisel, is normally in my tool bench in one of the dog holes. But everything's just nice and neat. If I want to find something, I just reach around and grab it, I use it, and I put it right back up. And that's what I like about these tool walls. Whereas a tool chest, you pull out the tools you're going to use, you need to find a place to put them, and then when you're done using them, well, at the end of the day, you put them back in your tool chest. And that's just too much work for me. I guess you could say I'm lazy. Plus the fact I just like seeing my stuff. It keeps it nice and organized for me. I just don't misplace stuff this way. When I rebuilt this place right here, I had a lot of these plywoods that I had framed with 2x4s all the way around. But this is how I typically did it, with plywood. And I'm using now, I have one for my hand tool, so I have a background for when I'm shooting those videos. I have one over here that has tools that I use fairly infrequently. I have my whiteboard, which I am constantly doodling on. And then I have one for my turning stuff. So it just makes it easy for me to handle my tool organization. Now, how do you build these? Couldn't be simpler. Basically, you just have the plywood right here. And yes, I lined mine with 2x4 so that I could have a little nice edge, and I have a little shelf on bottom. But all you need is the 2x4. You can even use OSB, something even cheaper. Up top, I took a 2x6, and you can see them on the later ones. And basically, I cut it right at some kind of angle, probably 45. I don't really know. I don't really care. Because I split one 2x6, those two will have a mating surface that exactly does that angle. I then took one side, and to create a French cleat, I screwed it into the wall. Then I placed the other one right on top of that one. And then I held this up against that and screwed through the plywood or OSB into that top French cleat. So now I have a French cleat where I can just lift it off and put it down. After that, you just need on the bottom of it to put another 2x4 as a spacer, so to speak. Couldn't be simpler to mount them. Now, when you do mount them, you want to make sure you hit a good solid stud in several places because these things can hold a lot of weight. And a lot of times I'll hit a stud, and then I'll also put some of those 150-pound drywall anchors in between them. So I might have 6 or 7 screws along them. In my old place, when I was going into sheet metal, I had like 24 over a 4x8 piece of plywood holding all that weight going into the sheet metal to hold the weight. So it worked out pretty well. Couldn't have been simpler. Now, in the past years, I did use pegboards, but I just don't like the look of them. They don't seem to hold up that long. And these are reusable over and over and over. These same plywood pieces I've had since my San Marcos school 2 years ago when I built them. And they went to the Austin school, and now they're here. Every time I moved, I just took all the stuff off of it and repositioned new tools anyways. And it's super simple. It's why I like this so much. Is if I want to pull a tool right here, I can just drill a hole. Basically, I square it up, and then I lift it ever so slightly, drill my hole. I have some dowels. I use dowels for this one instead of splitting it out. just because it's not holding that much weight, and dowels are good enough. And you just tap it into the hole, and then you can hang your tool. If you want to reorganize it, instead of having a bunch of holes, just cut it off, drill a new hole, put it somewhere else. It is that simple. I move stuff all the time. And maybe in 50 or 100 years, I'll have so many holes in this thing that it's worthless, but for the amount you spent on the plywood, it's worth it. It's infinitely variable. Just move stuff around when you need to. Some other variations, a way to store stuff on something like this is I have just a shower rod dowel right here. I cut out 2 3/4 holes. I made a little fancy bracket, and that's an easy way to store all my Bailey style planes. Very easy. They just drop right there. I need them. I have access to them. You can create a board, just drill it straight in the wall, and drill a bunch of holes in it for random odd size stuff, like my drill drivers and all the screwdrivers, that kind of stuff. Just drill a hole. For your more commonly used ones, I put a little recess in there so that they're easier to pull in and out. These are stuff I use all the time. Other things, you have a little vase or something that you don't use very much. Sand a square, place it on the back, screw it to the wall, you have a spot for your pencils or whatever. Or worst case scenario, you can always just use a nail to hold up whatever you want. Me personally, because of vanity, I use brass nails, but who cares? Other options is I just put a bunch of pegs into some strips so I can move these whole sections around different places. And right now they are holding my less used turning tools. I don't touch these very much, but when I want them, I don't want to go through drawers or stuff to find them. I just turn around, look for them, and I find them. Other things you can do, how many of us have wine boxes that, hey, they're made out of wood, we're woodworkers, we just can't throw them away, they're not worth very much, they're just stapled together, what use do we have them? Well, just screw them straight to the wall and you have a little place to store stuff. For example, the power sander my dad got me for Christmas because evidently he wants me to start sanding my bowls. And if you're like me, for vanity reasons, you want to put some kind of frame on it, well, basically this is just a groove in a 2x4 that matches the thickness of the plywood, and I turned one to the side, and it's both grooved, screwed. There's a little bridle joint on the side for decorations. You can do any kind of joint right there. You can just do miter joints. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted a little shelf to hang stuff in, so I have a shelf on the bottom and the top on some of these just for extra storage. Once again, these are just infinitely variable. You can do just about anything you want with them. They're very, very cheap. They're a lot easier to build than a tool chest or something like that, and they work well. Well, there you go. The first lunch discussion in the 2016 in our brand new shop dedicated to making it easier for me to make content for you. You can really expect a lot more from us in 2016, and we could use your support to buy materials to make the stuff to show you. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and remember, it is always worth the effort to learn, create, and share with others. Y'all be safe and have fun.